Welcome, Necsa. Welcome to the new board chairperson and others. Let me extend our apologies. It were circumstances beyond our control. We had thought by now when we meet, we will be knowing each other. Unfortunately, we couldn't have the introductory meeting that you had initially requested. So please just bear with us. The pandemic was the one that blocked. Now, unfortunately, we are meeting for the first time as a committee with your chair and some of your board members who might be here. It was never our intention. Can I give it to you, please? 5 time, put your wash. It means you've got 20 minutes at least because it's a bonus to you. By 5 past, please, your wash must tell you that you are 40 minutes, you are 20 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to hand over very quickly to Ayanda Mayoli, who is the acting Group Chief Executive. But just to mention that we have attending this meeting Nemani Macau, Gregory Davids, and Senameli Masango, who are 3 of the board members who were appointed. And we were appointed in February, January or February, and it's been quite hectic since then, and COVID hasn't helped us very much. But I'll hand over to Ayanda to make the presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chairperson. Good evening to the Portfolio Committee Chairperson, as well as the members of the Portfolio Committee. We also have amongst the executives from Necsa, the MDs of Pelcam and NTP, Mr. Khadebe and Ms. Epoka, as well as the Group CFO, Hlengiwe, she's here with us, and Nike Lwatengimfene, the General Manager responsible for communication and stakeholder relations. Let me bring up the presentation. I hope you will be able to see it. Can you see it now?
Hope not yet.
Not yet. Let's see.
Continue in the meantime, we do have our own.
All right.
Yes, it's in now.
Okay. Just trying to get this on. Okay. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is to take you through our Necsa group strategy, which has been approved by the board at the end of April. The new board and the executives have been working over the last couple of months to develop this strategy to ensure that we turn around the organization and also ensure long-term financial sustainability going forward. So the strategic assumptions that we used in the main in the development of the strategy are based on our minister's budget vote speech on the 10th of July last year, where he mentioned 3 key policy statements which underpinned quite a lot of the work that we had to do in developing our strategy. The fact that nuclear is still part of the future electricity generation mix of our country, which has been confirmed even most recently with the 2.5 gigawatts of nuclear capacity that we have for the future in terms of the electricity generation mix. and potentially even more. The need for us to build a replacement for our Safari 1 research reactor by building this, what we call a multi-purpose reactor, MPR, which is a very important asset for Necsa. It is the heart of Necsa. It is our competitive advantage in terms of the production of nuclear medicine through our subsidiary NTP, as well as the research that we do through this facility, even in support of a nuclear build program. And lastly, the ministers mentioned the need for us to advance the operation of Caterpillar as a state-owned pharmaceutical entity at Necsa, which is also very strategic and key for manufacture of ARVs for the treatment of AIDS. As we probably know, these ARVs currently we import them. So we don't want to continue doing that, knowing that we're one of the biggest users of ARVs, but we want to produce them locally. So this would be through a partnership with Mintech, as well as an international partner. So the strategy that we have developed is based on 3 key phases: short term, medium term, and long term. In the short term, we refer to our strategy as one of sweating assets. Of course, our strategic intent, as you will see at the top of the slide, is it says we want to be a world leader in nuclear, radiation, and related technologies by 2030. We have been very well known as Necsa in the international nuclear industry, as having been a very key global player. You will remember that we even used to make nuclear weapons. We used to make our own fuel for Quebec. So we are not small players in the nuclear industry generally. Our own research reactor, Safari, is known to be one of the most utilized, highly utilized and well-managed reactors in the world. So we are not small player when it comes to this. So sweating the assets in the main, we talk about ensuring high availability and reliability of existing infrastructure. Before we can think about growth of our infrastructure, growth of our products, we need to ensure that the existing assets are mostly highly utilized in terms of availability and reliability. So for NTP, we're talking regaining our 20% molybdenum-99 market share, which is very important after the long closure of NTP over a number of months that you would be aware of. So we have been on a sustainable return to service program of our facilities at NTP, and we are focused now towards ensuring that we regain the market share that we lost over that period. And that also means that we will increase the range of medical isotopes from 3 to 4. And from Perchem, we're talking about refurbishment of existing facilities. These facilities are old, over 30 years old, and the need to maintain them and ensure their reliability is very important for us. Before we can talk further growth, which I'm going to talk about. At the next level, we talk about achieving 1.4 billion rand revenue. Currently, in the previous year, financial year 2020, we're looking at 1.2 billion. So we talk about 20% growth at the next corporate level of our turnover there. Through ASME, supply of ASME type components. This is through our industrial manufacturing entity called Parliamentary Enterprises, where we've got a ASME 3 and N-STEM for manufacture and design of nuclear components, which makes us the only company in the continent to be able to do such. I do believe Egypt has just managed to establish that capability. So we've been the only entity in the continent for the longest time. We talk about uranium recovery. So these are projects that I'm sharing with you that will increase our turnover and certainly bring some turnaround for Necsa. Uranium recovery from waste streams where we have such uranium that we can still utilize. We talk about recovery from spent nuclear fuel. That's what SNF stands for, which in the main would help to improve our balance sheet from the sales or utilization of this used uranium. We talk about doing contract R&D. This is in respect of 6 key impact areas that we've identified that will bring more opportunities for growth for Necsa. This is where now we do in the main research through the technology readiness levels up to commercialization, where we are able to spin them off in the main towards our subsidiaries for commercialization and our division called Parliamentary Enterprises. Talk about reduction of our liability, nuclear waste liability, by 10% and further reduction over the years, as you will see. So that's in the short term. In the medium term, that is about 5 years from now, we're talking further increase of market share at NTP, where we produce medical isotopes, and increase of the range of those medical isotopes from 4 to 6. Pelchem, this is where we produce our fluorine-based chemicals. There we are a small player in the market. There's a big scope for us to increase our market share by increasing our capacity of our production plants. And we talk there the possibility to build a 30,000 tons per annum HF plant. That is in comparison with existing capacity of about 4,500 tons per annum. So that's how much increase we talk about in scope to make these plants more economically viable. So that's on HF. And then also upscaling production of specialty fluorochemicals. And then for Kotlapila project in collaboration with Mintech, we're talking there initially having a 35% market share of ARVs, and this will grow over the next years, as I will show you in the next slides to come. As we continue in the next 5 years, we talk about growing our supply of ASME-related components through our entity, Parliamentary Enterprises. I have to say that this year, in fact, end of 2020, this entity for the first time will make a profit. This is through our ability to provide services to Eskom successfully, as we supply them with components for maintenance, for their life extension project, which will extend over the years to come. We've been a very reliable supplier to Eskom, and we want to continue to do that. And by doing so, we also have to increase the local content of our plant at Quebec, having been built by the French in the main. The components have been supplied by overseas suppliers, so we need to change that. And through the strategic positioning of our Parliamentary Enterprises entity, we are able to do that in collaboration with Eskom. We talk about uranium recovery on a continued scale. In the medium term, we talk about increasing even the supply of components beyond the nuclear industry. We believe that our ASME-3 and NSTEM puts Necsa in a very good position to supply components to other industries as well, and actually help towards localization and industrialization in general beyond nuclear. We can't limit ourselves in our thinking. Because when you localize and industrialize at the top of the supply chain, you have to do a strong intervention there through a very big entity. We've seen this in many countries where they've successfully localized their nuclear programs, that the activities of such entities, strategic entities like Philindaba Enterprises, like Necsa, that kind of role is one that's strategic at the top of your supply chain. And that's our thinking and our vision going forward, even for our nuclear program, as we work towards establishing a bigger nuclear program for the country. In the long term, we talk about increasing sales for nuclear medicine from around 1 billion right now to about 2 billion. That's how much ambition we have. This is achievable through new markets, new products, 33% market share. So we've done all those analysis through increase of the range of isotopes from 6 to 9. For Belchem, I mentioned the Ketlapila and Tutukani projects already. So we're talking increasing sales up to levels of 1.3 billion in terms of fluorochemicals there. In terms of ARVs, we're looking at about 4.1 billion by that time in terms of sales, and even more growth on supply of ASME-3, ASME-8 related components, as I said, even beyond the nuclear industry as a preferred supplier. We hope we will be able to take the success that we're having with ESCOM and be able to extend that even to other infrastructure projects in the country, in the main, to maintain the strategic capability that we so require for expanding our nuclear program. We talk about even more uranium recovery on an increased scale in about 10 years' time. We talk more R&D income in terms of the 6 impact areas that I spoke about, the level of about 240 million rand, reduction of our current liability, as well as commissioning of the multipurpose reactor, which in the main would contribute just about 2 billion rand revenue for the Necsa group. We also talk about in our thinking, in the strategy, the possibility of leveraging small modular reactor technology. You will recall that we have PBMR, pebble bed modular reactor expertise that we've developed in the country. So we are in the process, in our thinking, of wanting to leverage that as well with a strategic partner, because this is the future of nuclear, especially in Africa, where you get smaller grids. You cannot afford to build big 1,000 megawatt units as currently the case, mostly with Gen 3 technology. So the scope there, and to use SMR technology, the US is the likes of Bill Gates, they're heavily investing in such technology. So we are salivating actually over this opportunity, which will also help us to strengthen our industrial manufacturing capability there through localization of such technology, not just for ourselves in South Africa, in terms of 2.5 gigawatts of scope of nuclear power, but also for export markets. This is how far we are thinking with regard to this particular opportunity, which we are really excited about. In terms of finances, this is a high-level projection of what the finances look like. In the current year, ending 2021, we're looking at a revenue of about 3.1 billion. That is in comparison with 2 billion in the previous financial year. So this is not a small increase. It's really a big effort. And however, we still look at a loss nonetheless of 61 million rand in the current year, but this is only year 0 in terms of the strategy development. In year 1 already, the following year, and you're going to see that in the next slide, we'll be able to turn around the bottom line. But then again, the 61 million loss has to be seen in the context of a 237 million budget loss for the previous year. So that's a big turnaround year on year on
Babumyo,
yes, sir.
I'm giving you 2 minutes to wrap up.
All right. So these are the figures. As you can see, 61 million for the group that you see there that I mentioned in the current financial year, and the numbers going forward, they turn around positively, as you've seen in the previous slide. I have talked to that slide, so I'm going to pass it. Current status, which is my last slide, is that the Necsa board, as I said earlier, has approved the Necsa group strategy at the end of April. This is a core and key part of our corporate plan. We submitted one end of February. We will revise the corporate plan based on the new strategy that has been approved. Our minister has approved the Caterpillar project for the ARVs, production of ARVs, and that project now is with the Minister of Finance, Minister of Health. NTP is on a path for sustainability. I think I mentioned this as well. The projected impact of COVID-19, negative impact, when we estimated it in April, was 150 million rands. We will have to address that going forward. And I have to say, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, we are producing sanitizers as well at a capacity through Parliamentary at a capacity of 10,000 liters per week. We plan to ramp that up to about 25,000 liters per week from June. So we are very proud of our contribution there through Parliamentary, and we've also developed a prototype ventilator. It's still on a prototype level. We are busy to commercialize it. So it's still very early days, but we have done some good work there. The Necsa board and management, in conclusion, are looking forward to implementing the Necsa group strategy to ensure our turnaround and long-term financial sustainability. The rest of the slides, Chairperson, are there for more information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Babu. Thank you, Babu. Honorable members, I'm trying my level best. Now the list goes 3 minutes again. We must stick to that time. Honorable Mahlaule, you are one. On your 3 minutes, Honorable Mailem, Honorable Hlonyana, should be Honorable Malinga, Honorable Numalo, Honorable Bilankulu, Honorable Hendricks, Honorable Mtenjane, Honorable Phillips, Honorable Volmarals, and the last one, in your 3 minutes, you'll take notes. You know how we do it. You saw others before you. I don't even want to take my own time. Honorable members, Honorable Mahlaule.
Thank you very much, Chair. We want to welcome the presentation by Necsa and express that unlike the last time when we received a presentation from Necsa, where we expressed the hopelessness that we could see from Necsa, it has seemed to change now to a hopeful situation, and we just want to congratulate Necsa in changing things around seemingly. Just one thing, Chair, or two. Earlier on, we were asking NNR about their complaint for so long about your behavior in terms of adherence or non-compliance that led to your closure at some point. Would you say you are on a path to recovery in that regard? That is one. The second thing that is encouraging across board in the entities is that most of the entities, Chair, are speaking about collaboration with each other, which is encouraging because it paints a picture of non-competition amongst themselves, but complementary to each other. So we are particularly happy with that behavior. Mr. Dave Nicole, do you care to share with us when are we likely to get a CEO at Necsa? That would be all, Chair.
Honorable Mailam.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Chair, thank you to the people at Necsa. I also want to welcome the presentation and hope that it portends of good things to come. However, I'm very concerned about some of the assumptions that you make in slide 3. You talk about new nuclear build, and you spoke particularly about 2,500 megawatts, 2.5 gigawatts of new build. I'd like to point out that that does not align with the IRP. The IRP makes no provision for 2.5 gigawatts of new build. It says we shall commence preparations at a pace and scale that South Africa can afford. So you're working off the wrong version of the IRP. And this is the same position that Minister Mantashe announced on Thursday a week ago, or Tuesday a week ago, I can't remember the exact date, when he spoke to this portfolio committee. But it is not what has been gazetted. It is not what has been approved. So how can you plan based on something that is not an approved strategy of government? I absolutely cannot understand that. I'm very concerned that we haven't seen a detailed turnaround strategy for Pelchem and Pelindaba Enterprises. In fact, I didn't hear Pelindaba Enterprises mentioned once in this presentation. Now, these are two of the entities that were most problematic when we did oversight there last year. So I would be very interested to hear what the status of those turnaround strategies are and when we can expect to have them tabled before this committee. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mailam. Honorable Fanyane.
Thank you, Chair. I seem to have lost my camera, but you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Would like to welcome the presentation from Necsa, and then I just have one question, or it's a clarity-seeking question, Chair. At the beginning of the presentation, when they were speaking about the Caterpillar project, they spoke that they are in partnership with Mentec, but also, if I heard properly, the speaker said an international partner. So if there is an international partner, can I please get clarity? Who is the international partner? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Malinga.
Thank you,
Honorable
Chairperson.
Malinga.
I couldn't hear anything that the acting CEO was saying. Thanks to the presentations that were sent to us, I had to go through them myself. But Chair, I just want to check with the CEO or the chairperson of the board that have they met the organizer. Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Yes, Chairperson.
We're listening.
I can hear you. Can't you hear me?
We hear you.
Oh, I'm saying, Chairperson, can I check with the board if they have met the organized labor in Necsa? Because what we saw in our PC, the strained relationships between the acting CEO and organized labor left us with an unpalatable taste. Two, Chair, how does Necsa intend to ensure that NTP adheres to safety regulations as prescribed by NNR and to ensure that they don't lose revenue and their customer base that was built over the years? Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Numalo. Okay, in the absence of Honorable Numalo, in the meantime, Honorable Bilangulu, I think, is no longer here. Honorable Hendricks.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I congratulate Necsa for taking the bull by the horns and getting us back on track as far as nuclear electricity is concerned. We can't wait till there's money in the bank. We have to be proactive, and I congratulate them on their proactiveness. Also, we hear about these international partners, and we would just like to caution, we should not stick to one international partner, but we should have a basket of international partners. I know, for example, that one of the countries that do much of the work that Necsa is dabbling with is Pakistan. And I've spoken to the ambassador of Pakistan, and they're quite willing to assist South Africa as a developing country. And they're quite willing to share their technology and their expertise, and also to buy some of our products. So I just hope that our mindset is flexible and that we don't just stick to one international partner. Also, we noticed the good cooperation between Mintech and Necsa, and I think things are just getting better. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Hendricks. Honorable Tenjan.
Oh, well, once again, thank you very much, Chairperson, and also welcome the new board members. We know that the broom, they say it sweeps clean when it's new, so we want them to stay new so that they can always sweep clean, because remember, our people are waiting for service delivery, our people are sick with diseases, so we want their delivery. And we commend the minister also for finally, since from 2018, for now finally appointing a new board so that things can get going for this cooperation, because we've been waiting for this for such a long time. So our only advice to them, we would like to just advise them that please let them do the work that they were employed for them to do. They must leave politics to us, politicians. They must do what they are employed to do. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Mtenjane. Honorable Phillips.
Thank you so much, Chair. I would also just like to congratulate them on their, it seems like there's a whole new vibe, which is great to hear and to see, and also on their proactive input into the COVID epidemic. But then I'd also like to echo my colleague, the Honourable Malam's concern about these nuclear builds, which seem one area of government seem to be planning and the other area of government doesn't seem to have money for. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Phillips. Babu Volmarans.
Charles, I also welcome the presentation. It is a positive far cry from what we were fed and what we witnessed when we visited the NTT. That slide 15, it gives us a lot of hope, and it is more than welcome. I also want to echo the question that relates to the relationship between the entity and its labor. Since we saw what we saw about their relationship, what have they done? How far are they? The production of sanitizers by Necsa, is it in collaboration with Mintech, or is it also on competing for the market share? They can just expand on that, or are they together, or are they on their own there, since they are in the same stable? And then the last one is a slide 41, where they mention a risk of lack of transformation and an inability to retain the designated groups. Is there a turnaround strategy addressing that, and what are they going to do around that issue? Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Necsa, can you respond?
I will. Thank you, sir. I'll take a couple of the questions and then pass it across to the CEO because a couple of questions came my way, I think, to the committee. And the first one is the question was asked about the permanent appointment of a CEO. I can just comment that we're trying to resolve the issues at CCMA, etc., with the current previous CEO, and once that is resolved, which we hope will be shortly, we will go out to advert for a new CEO, and hopefully that will take a few months to sort out. But we cannot start that process until we've legally resolved the issues with the existing previous CEO. So that's by that concept. The second one I'll take up is, I think 2 or 3 of the MPs mentioned, honourable members, that mentioned the IRP and the 2,500 megawatts and Necsa's enthusiasm about nuclear new build. And I think you will understand that's the kind of thing which gets Necsa excited. It's in our title. I will have a comment on 2 very important concepts to this one. The first is that nothing in our current turnaround strategy takes credit for any work coming out of a nuclear new build program. So while we believe in it and we're doing some academic work in the background, the recovery program we presented today does not rely upon a nuclear new build program for its success. That would be extra. And my second comment is the IRP has delineated what plant is supposed to be commissioned up to 2030. It has not listed what gets but beyond 2030. It's got several scenarios beyond 2030. But as the minister pointed out, he was looking for the prelim work to be completed by 2024, as I understand his comments. And even assuming that we place contracts in 2024 for a new build program, there would be nothing online before about 2030, 2032 at the absolute earliest, more likely 2035. So I would comment as an individual that the current IRP has a weakness, that it stops the process in 9 years from now. And in mega projects, 9 years is, nothing gets done in 9 years completed. So those are the 2 questions I think were raised to me. And I'm going to leave the rest to, the other one, I'll leave the rest to the CEO. So over to yourself, Ayanda.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to respond to a few questions, and then some of them I will hand them over to the MDs who are here for PERCAM and NTP. I think the first question relates to the unions, and I will say that I think it was unfortunate that at that particular point in time, there were those issues that the union had raised at that particular point in time, but there was always intention to discuss those openly and to address them. I have held the view that in any relationship, when there are differences, it's not because such a relationship on its own, it is a problem. I've heard that view. I have differences with my own family members from time to time, but it has never meant that that the strained relationships per se. But I do understand that it did come out that way. And what we have done is that we have had some sessions between the union members and management representatives in what we call group bargaining forum. One such session was actually chaired by the CCMA to help us to address issues of labor in general. I think it was a very successful session. I was called in the last day to come and witness what the outcome was. And I saw that with my own eyes, and I was pleased. So we have continued, through such engagements with the GBF, and management gives us feedback on a regular basis on discussions that are happening there. And also, when we did the group strategy development, we had the union as being part of one of the days where they gave their input. So this is always something that we do when we do strategy development, that we engage with the union to give very valuable input. So one looks forward to improved, even better relations between management and the union. Other questions, I'm just going to tackle them as I can recall them. Honorable Mailem, apart from his concern on the 2.5 gigawatt of nuclear, which the chairperson has addressed, spoke about not having seen the strategy for Pelcam and Pelindaba Enterprises. Pelindaba Enterprises is a division of Necsa. I just have to make that clear. It's one division where we do industrial manufacturing. The strategy that we are talking about is a group strategy. So in essence, it includes our subsidiaries. That's why we call it group. It includes NTP, it includes Pelcam. Hence, you would have heard me refer to projects from Pelcam, which are very strategic, important for the growth of the group. But those projects come from Pelcam. When I spoke about the sanitizers, this is from Pelcam's own plants as a part of the group. So the strategy we're talking about is a group one, of which Pelcam is part. There was a question whether we're producing the sanitizers in collaboration with Mintech. Not at the moment. But what I will do, I will give our MD, Mr. Hadebe, an opportunity to speak more. I think there was a question about the sanitizers. There was a question about strategic partnership and around that. So I think he will comment. And likewise on NTP, there was a question on whether we will continue on a sustained path of regulatory compliance. I think I will give an opportunity to Mr. Boka also to answer that question. Let's see what other questions I can see here. The risk relating to transformation. The risk relating to transformation goes like this. We have to continuously transform the organization, especially in key areas such as R&D. And it takes time to develop expertise that you need in such an area as R&D. So in the main, we use knowledge management to ensure that we retain knowledge. Knowledge resides in people and elsewhere, documents everywhere else. But in the main, it resides in people. So we're talking how we can transfer such knowledge from those who have the expertise to those who are knowledge seekers, as it were, using knowledge management speak. So it's something that we haven't perfected. I think when the honorable members came to Necsa and visited Necsa, it was something that we shared with you as one of our weaknesses. and we're addressing through a very strong knowledge management program, which we have derived from the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. So that's something that we're working on. We will not lie to the portfolio committee and say that it's a perfect situation, but nonetheless, it's something that we continue to strive on. But I have to say that the number of black technical staff as a percentage of the total staff is about 50%, almost on target. If we miss the target at any one time, it will be by 0.5%. So you can say we're tracking almost on target, but we recognize that in some of the key areas of knowledge and expertise, we need more transformation. Let me see what else. Right now, let me hand over firstly to Mr. Khadebe. Ivan, you there?
Yes, I'm here, CEO.
Yes, Ivan. Thanks.
Good evening, honorable members. With regards to the question on the sanitizers, it's actually a three-way collaboration between Mintech, Pelcam, and Nketlapela. So the three entities have been working together so that they can produce the WHO recommended formulations. As the CEO of Mintech has mentioned previously, there's quite a shortage of the WHO recommended sanitizers within the country, but also within the region. So that's why the three of us decided to collaborate so that we can have the necessary scale to provide the WHO sanitizers. So that is a complementary collaboration between the three entities. That will be all from my side.
Thank you, Ivan.
There was a question, who was the international partner?
Oh, yeah, international partnership, Ivan.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Now, with regards to the international partner for a state-owned pharmaceutical company, we did an expression of interest way back in 2018, where we shortlisted a number of large generics pharmaceutical company, and the preferred partner was then selected to be Matlot Pharmaceuticals from India. They are currently the largest producer and supplier of ARVs and also, for TB pharmaceutical products. Currently, we are awaiting, the final concurrence from the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Ivan. As Mr. Parker, please, thank you, ma'am.
Good evening to the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. I'm going to try and answer the three questions that came up from the honorable members. One question had to do with following the safety regulations and how we work with Necsa to ensure sustainability of our operations. We work with Necsa Nuclear Compliance and Safety Unit to make sure that we meet the requirements from the NNR. And I'm confident and comfortable to say that since July 2018, we've worked very closely to make sure that we rebuild the production protocols and our standard operating procedures. And we have, since November 2018, started producing and providing product to the market. We have been able to regain almost 80% of our customers since we started operation, and we believed going into this financial year that by July 2020 we would have recovered all our customers. The challenge courier services between South Africa and the rest of the world. However, working with SAA, we've
Sorry, ma'am. Can someone switch off the mic, please? There's some mic that is making a picture. No, yours, Yoli, is off except your video. Can someone somewhere switch off the mic, please?
If I may continue, Honorable Chair. So we are on a process to recover our customers as well as maintain our production, both for molybdenum, which is the major product that we sell internationally, iodine 131, and we've also started producing a new product, lutetium 177 NCA, which is used for prostate cancer treatment. And I am confident that as long as we run Safari safely, we run the NTP production facilities safely, we will be able not only to regain the international markets, but importantly that we have started to work on taking advantage of the African market with new products through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. So in that, I believe that we are set to get back to the positions we were in 2017. I would mention that we've done a lot of training for our staff, and even though we've had the lockdown, we've managed to have 3 production runs and supply the American market as well as the European market. As long as we have flights into those countries, we're able to deliver product. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Iboka. I think we have dealt with all the questions, Chair. Unless we have missed one or two, I'm not sure. But I think we have addressed all of them, Chair.
If I may, Chair, I'd just like to thank the committee for their kind words towards the new board. And I hope and I would just comment that we were given some tough targets when we came in, and I believe that with the new board and the new direction of the company, we have a good chance of turning this round. I will just jokingly comment that when the new board was first appointed, we were told we couldn't pay wages, and we got much press coverage on that we couldn't pay wages, and we did. And I believe it was the first of a series of things we're going to succeed at to turn this company around and make it back what it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson of the Necsa. Like I said initially, but please answer this question. I know that your acting CEO answered this question. That question was directed to you, whether the board has met with Labour and how are the relations, and what is your take on it? I think that was directed to the board.
The board as a whole has not met the unions. I met the unions personally at the second week of being in position, and I've had discussions with union leadership since then. So I've kept a discussion going with the unions, and I believe that the unions are looking for the survival and success and growth of Necsa as their primary interest. So as long as the board is showing that support, they seem all right. But because of the lockdown, we haven't had many meetings so far, but certainly in my discussions with the leadership of both the unions on site, I feel comfortable that we have a relationship where they will come and tell me if we are not doing the right thing.
Thank you, Chair. No. I wanted so that there can be clarity on some of these issues. Thank you very much. Thank you, honourable members. One of the things I must say, especially now that Necsa we have presented, obviously we still owe each other, by your request, Chairperson, that we share some of those matters, not under pressure. but to see is to see how best, because when you come to this committee, there are two things possible. One of them, the primary one, is accountability, but also we're here as a committee to assist and where we think we can. We don't want people to fear to come to the committee, but if you know that you don't know your story, I will just advise that try and find a way to cushion, because we don't speak next to the facts, we deal with the facts as they are. So I think as the committee is going to deliberate in all the presentations, we will surely try and find time, depending when this crisis we're faced with, when does it ease and allow a better interaction. But as I said, that I'm sure when I speak on behalf of this committee. The second thing is that as a chairperson, especially under such conditions, I don't think we necessarily say take away the responsibility of the operational task of the executives. It is enough when the chair gets an opportunity to interact with all the stakeholders, including, so you were representing the board in doing so. It's a question of how the matters are dealt with when you are sitting around as the board. So I think, to me, I wouldn't say feel guilty or that you might have not acted as a board. When you were doing that exercise, you were trying to manage a situation of which, as a chair, you have a responsibility for. So I want you to relax, not say, hey, I came to the committee. No, we're not looking at that. We're just looking at how do you manage some of the issues, on the challenges that are there. But on an overall, as I said, that we will try, all of the presentations that have been made, when the committee meets, be aware already that in its discussions, it might then be able to say, whilst we are looking at all the issues and all the presentations, we think that we need to have now a take on one-on-one per each of these particular entities, based on what the committee would have done in terms of its assessment and evaluation, and what it would then be able to recommend going forward. That could be as a result of what emanates on the presentation. So for now, the committee in essence is just listening to the presentations. It is not making an opinion or any recommendations. It is still going to go back and deliberate on the presentations that have been made. The last point on this one, before I go and give to the DG, I'm just saying in future, because we're still going to come back and deal with the BRRRs, the budget reviews and recommendation reports. We might be faced with a similar challenge. Just be ready and go back, and I think I want to give the task to the DG and say, for us as members of parliament, when we are here, I'm not sure Honorable Melam can tell me what his party is given, but one thing I can assure you, there is not a single party when we debate the reports that will get more than, it will be lucky if we get more than 30 minutes. It actually means all your reports, I still have to count, leave that there are entities within entities. I still have to do that exercise, entities within entities. All what you have presented, all of you as entities, in the so many days that we're listening and we're still going to listen, you will be lucky that each party a person can get more than 10 minutes. So in most cases is that we have to summarize everything that has been said in these committees into 10 minutes as a maximum of a person will get. It will be lucky if when they share the time they get 12. But the point I'm trying to say, when we do these things, it's not that we are not going through the same exercise. When your time is up, in that 12 minutes, it is up. You don't start to say I've got more than 16 entities. Whether you've got 16 entities, but when your time is allocated to be 10 minutes or 8 minutes, you must finish in 8 minutes. So that is why you are saying also yourselves, when you come here, just tell yourself, there is no time, these are the points we want to do. Lastly, I think when we deal, honorable members, we will have to look at this response. I think the collaborations goes beyond just 3 entities when it comes to COVID-19. We have to look at these issues and also to what extent do we talk to the interdepartmental relations? Because in my view, I'm not sure where is the offtake. We can have this production and sometimes even the mining companies, the mining industry, with the magnitude of human personnel that it is taking, as we always talk about opening up the economy, it actually means there is a demand for some of those issues. Then what are the strategies, which I think that's what members were trying to raise in relation to the commercial value of the production. Just quickly, DG, before I close the meeting, can we get what your remarks on the basis of your entities that you brought today?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. It's been a long day, but I must thank the Honorable members, Chair, under your guidance and leadership, with robust questions and also the answers that have been provided by the state-owned entities. It shows that we are hard at work in making sure that we respond to the challenges that our people are faced with, because that is basically our mandate, to respond to the electorates, because you as members of Parliament, you are there with a specific mandate of representing the entire nation. Now, from the side of the executive, we have a responsibility to come and account to you. Now, Chair, I came here, I was supposed to give an apology on behalf of the minister. I came here running because during the course of the day, I was in another province, and so I had to come back to join this meeting. Now, the minister has apologized, Chair. The cabinet activities or responsibilities kept them quite very busy. As you are aware that they're busy with NCCC as well and other programs of cabinet. The other issue, Chair, as I have appreciated the robustness, how the members have engaged in this conversation. There is one issue that I just want to bring to the attention of honorable members, that we have agreed even previously that during the BRRR will come and give an update to honorable members in terms of the work that we have done by then, looking specifically at our entities around the plans that they need to put in place. For an example, we're talking of rationalization and repurposing of state-owned entities. That is one other area, even Necsa as well. It is going to be affected by that process. As I have also indicated that during that process of BRRR, we'll be able to come back and give a feedback to the honorable members. The other issue, Chair, I think the point that Honorable Malinga has raised, we have taken note of a comment. It's a very important comment. Lastly, Chair, without taking a lot of time, Honorable Melam asked a question around where do we get the 2,500 megawatts. Then, without getting into the details, I would like to make a reference to decision number 8. Then you will find decision number 8 on page 48 of the IRP. It makes a specific reference to the 2,500 megawatts. It says that commence preparations for a nuclear build program to the extent of 2,500 megawatts at a pace and scale that the country can afford, because it is a no-regret option in the long term. And so the chairperson of Necsa has also clarified this question. I thought that I should just make this addition and also to provide information to honorable members where they can find this information. With those words, Chair, I think it's been a long day, as I've said, You have done a wonderful job as members of Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy. I would like to thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, thank you, honorable members. We are meeting tomorrow at 12 o'clock, ne?
Yes, Chair.
Correct my team.
Yes, Chair, you're correct.
We are dealing with let me check we're dealing with Necsa, ne?
Correct, Chair.
SADPMR, I nearly
Yes,
said DPMRE, and then SDT.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yes, Chair.
Honorable members, thank you very much for your maximum discipline. We know that this is an extraordinary exercise that we must meet beyond the working hours. But the truth of the matter is that the nation is looking up to us. We have a task and a responsibility to our people. And therefore, thank you very much for taking sacrifice. One of the things I've noticed is that I know when it is this time, there is a general belief that you are supposed to be sitting home, but if we were in Parliament, probably there would be no need for apologies because this is some of the experiences that we have. So for your effort, your commitment, I wish to send my appreciation. We were not sure when we were scheduling some of these meetings. Also, Mentec, I would be doing an injustice if I don't appreciate your reasonability. When you came and then we had some hiccups and you considered, and thank you very much to allow us to say, come at a later stage. It's important just to have a sense of what the entities are doing. The rest of the issues obviously will rest with the committee. Thank you very much. Let's meet tomorrow again at 12 o'clock for the other related matters. Thank you very much. Meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Chair.